Well, good morning, flockers. You are live on the patio with Max Moluccan and a yummy, yummy beak fist. What do you say, Max? Yeah. So what we're going to start off with this morning is going to be beak fist. Max has been quite excitedly watching me make it and get all ready for it. Max, would you like an Eggie cone for beak fist? Yeah? All right, you grab that and you show the flockers how it's done. Is that good? So what this is, it's cooked eggs inside of cone. It gives them a way of foraging for fun and getting the tasty, tasty meat inside. I'd like to say hello to everybody joining us this morning. It's always a little awkward on the porch to keep up with some of the comments, but I'll do my best. Is that good, Max? You look pretty eager. Hello, Greenbird. Hello to Cheryl from BC. Cheryl, Max mostly tears up the cone. He sometimes eats a little bit. Not too worried about that because really here the focus is on the egg inside the cone. It's cooked just in the microwave. Call them 30-second eggies, so just pop them in the microwave, mix them up 40 seconds, depending on the size of the egg, just until it's cooked, so he gets egg white and egg yolk mixed. It's actually probably not splotches of yolk and splotches of white. Then just microwave it, put it up between the flock. I tuck it into the cone so that Max has something to hold on to and something to forage in. It's actually kind of fun foraging in there, isn't it, Max? I'm really glad everybody's joining us this morning. But yeah, as I said, when you cook those eggs, absolutely no salt. I mean, they are perfectly, perfectly plain. Is that good, buddy? Check here. Yes, Max is a pretty busy bird. He's pretty happy about having beak fist on the patio. I'm out here with my cup of coffee. Max doesn't get any, but I get my treat too. Kind of funny coming out onto the patio. I jogged out just in advance because my hands were going to be a bit full, and brought the coffee out in advance just to put it out on the table and moved the cushion off of this chair so that I don't have to worry, because Max definitely, yeah, he's going to make a mess as he eats. It is the nature of birds to make a mess. So he drops a bit of food there, so I just wanted to get everything ready. Went inside, got his leash on, and then I realized, oh yeah, right, I've still got to pop the eggs into the cone. Max wanted to help. I had to give a cone to Tico. Max was super, super jealous. And then I had to carry out Max's cone. And Max wanted to help. Max wanted to eat the cone before we even got outside. Yes, coffee for the Ooman. Always, Greenbird. Always, always. Is that good, buddy? I can see the cone's gotten a little bit soggy from having the warm egg in it, but Max really enjoys this, and now he's just going to crunch this up, and it's going to be a bit of fun, and quite honestly, the sparrows are going to come clean up the mess that he leaves behind. So I'm not too worried about a little bit of mess. So here he's mostly just shredding it. It's kind of fun to beak, and food grade, so I don't have to worry too much about it. One thing to remember, if you have parrots, some human foods are good for them. I mean, eggs are great. They're healthy, especially in moderation. Not something you want to offer as a daily feed, but once a week or so is okay. Just no salt, no sugar. I mean, salt and sugar are not good for us. They're definitely not good for the birds. You want to avoid garlic, you want to avoid onion, you want to avoid avocado, mushrooms, or any type of fungus. You know, the list is fairly long, but really when you start thinking about the diet, have your list of what to avoid and what you can have. And I mean, if you've got fruit or veggies, you know, for the most part, with the exception of onion, garlic, avocado, and mushrooms, they're quite healthy. A lot of cases you can leave the seeds in, but always check. Apple seeds, there's some controversy there, but I've always, initially I heard that they were bad because they have a bit of cyanide in them. Recently, Parrots R Us has been saying that in consultation with Dr. Jason Crean that they're okay in moderation. I still err on the side of caution, so we get lots of apples, but I just seed them. But when it comes to squash and stuff like that, perfectly okay to leave the seeds in. Cherries and whatever, pit them before giving them to the birds. But I mean, you know, you wouldn't eat the pits yourself, so not really a big deal. So if you're eating it and it's healthy, it's probably good for the birds. You know, if I'm cooking, I'll cook rice. I will make my rice perfectly plain. I don't even add salt to it. Share a little bit with the birds because they're flock animals. They want to eat when you eat, and everything in moderation. You know, rice as a full diet for a bird wouldn't be a good idea, but a little bit of rice, perfect warm treat, and they think they're sharing with you, and it's great. Plus, the bird now understands that a lot of stuff is healthy and enjoyable. What you doing there, buddy? I know that wind is being rude. I see Babs just joined us. But, you know, so when I put the rice on my plate, that's when I add a little bit of salt to it for my own taste. Yes, I have forgotten before, and yes, I have forgotten when I've had people over for dinner. They gave me kind of a weird look, wondering how come I couldn't even cook rice and why it tasted so odd. I quickly explained when I realized what the problem was, but it was kind of funny. But, you know, that's sort of how you cook with birds in the house. You know, you'll cook things without sauce. You know, they love some pasta. Cook the pasta plain, you give them a little bit of plain pasta, then you add the sauce later on for yourself. It's just modifying how you cook, but it gives you the opportunity to share with the rest of the flock. You like being part of the flock, don't you, Max? So I see Gabby and Cheryl. Oh, Rhonda's here. Of course, Greenbird. Amy, lots of people joining us. So I've been a little bit remiss on some of the comments, but I'll try and catch up on them. Amy says there's a breeze here too, and Amy says quite excited about the Aggies. Greenbird says that's how we do it. Aggies for the birds, coffee for the Ooman. Greenbird had a soggy chicken sundae. Say that 3 times fast. Soggy chicken sundae with a good fluff day in the sun. Yeah. Oh, are you done that, buddy? We'll just take a little quick pan down. Yeah, that's the mess that we just left. I'm just gonna check. You want a little bit more Eggie? There you go. I know, that was almost my finger. Chairs clean. I do keep these chairs washed, so it's not quite like picking up off the ground. Hi, a little bit more. Yeah, that's the good stuff, isn't it? Want another offer? There you go, bud. Yeah, you'll nibble on what's left. It's quite good. And Max is quite happy about his snacks. So Greenbird was saying he had a good fluff day in the sun with a fluff dry. Absolutely. Showering on the porch is always a favorite. Really glad to see you today, Rhonda. Cheryl says, Bob loves squash. Yeah, Chico the Gray, absolute fan of squash. He's the self-proclaimed pumpkin king. And actually, he won that title a couple of years running in online contests. If Tico sees a full-size carving pumpkin, he will destroy it in a matter of days. Quite happily. It's his favorite thing in the world. He, when it's not around Halloween, Thanksgiving, when the big pumpkins are available, we have squash through the year. Acorn squash, spaghetti squash, some of the other varieties as well. Whatever's available. He doesn't get as much during the rest of the year because it can get quite expensive, especially since for the most part he tears it up. But Max gets a slice of squash as well, and Max just loves eating the squash. Wash the outsides. You can serve it raw or you can serve it cooked. You can leave the seeds inside. Usually with Tico, I will just cut a little panel off the bottom so it'll sit flat. That panel I cut off the bottom, I'll give to Max, so Max has some squash to eat. Max does not need a lot, and he's not gotten into the joys of shredding. And then I just give the entire squash, what's remaining of it, with that little bit off the bottom, to Tico, bottom of his cage, and he will have fun for a couple of hours just shredding it, eating a little bit, and proving his mastery. I mean, it is the absolute best thing I can do for him. He thinks it's great fun. Hi, Gabby. Greenbird says, Eggies and spinach are a big hit here. Yeah, spinach, not so much. We tend to get beaks turned up on spinach, but the preference here are things like romaine lettuce, which it can be really, really crunchy. And I think sometimes it's a bit of a texture thing. Yeah, Gabby, num num num. That was good, wasn't it, Max? Brian says hello from the Bronx. Cheryl says Bob is a lot smaller than Tico, so he just gets a bit of ours and some of the seeds. Oh, absolutely. You know, the first time I started the flock on pumpkin, bought a pumpkin, and I was following the advice of somebody that a lot of us probably follow on Instagram or Facebeak, Parrots Are Us, and she actually said it's good. You can give it raw. You can actually give them the whole pumpkin. And I thought, well, that's odd. I was talking to Q, and Q said, yeah, Q, the Moluccan, will sometimes carve pumpkins, and I saw a picture of him carving a pumpkin from the previous year, and I thought, you know, that is so much fun. Let's try it. So I bought Max pumpkin, and he looked at it and said, what the flock is that? I don't want it near me. He didn't want it in his cage. He didn't want it on his chair. I cut a couple of eyes and a beak for it. Got the beak up as well. And he clearly didn't want it. So I offered it to Tico. Tico, I just gave Tico a small slice. And Tico said, hey, this is the best thing ever. And ended up putting the full pumpkin in Tico's cage just so he could nibble at it. I figured it had about a day left on it until I had to recycle it, because obviously the house is not refrigerated. And Tico looked at that pumpkin and he shredded it. I mean, the entire thing. And he just had the biggest smile on his face. It was great. What do you think, Max? Yeah. Yes, Gabby, I usually join in the live of Einstein. Tico the Grey is a huge fan of Einstein, and Marcia is a great person as well. Marcia's recently taught Einstein how to balk like a chicken, and I don't know if you caught it or not, but a few weeks ago we did a balk off. The video is on Max's YouTube channel between Max the Moluccan and Einstein, the talking Texas African Grey, on a balk off, and we had lots of fun putting it together. Max retained the title, but Einstein earned the designation of Afro-Clark Grey. He did a really, really good job, and I think Max is going to have to defend that title. What you doing there, buddy? So I'm just going to zoom out. Max decided he wanted to sit on top of the chair. One thing I always like to point out, Max is perfectly safe. He's within arm reach of me, and he is wearing a harness. Lead on the harness is right here. I'm just going to drop it down. Harness goes right around his body, underneath his wings. We use an aviator harness. Max is quite comfortable in it, and he's not going to go too far even if something scares him. And I'm always within an arm's reach of him, so not too worried. I might get a little bit quiet here just to see if Max wants to do a little bit of talking. He's doing a bit of mumbling right now. Hey Max, can you balk? You gonna balk for us today? Gonna do a bit of balking? No, right now it's gonna be quick and spray bottle sound. Sun's come out, so it's a little bit warmer. Max is doing a little bit of basking in the sun right now. Seems to be enjoying himself. Brian asks, what fruit does he eat? Max eats pretty much any type of fruit that we have in the house. Can be sometimes a bit picky about apples, making sure that they're the right kind. What's the right kind? Well, it depends on the day and it depends on the week. One day it's Macintosh, next day it's Golden Delicious or Fuji. And it just depends what kind of taste he's in and what he wants. We've had a few episodes where he wants apple and he looks at it and says, what the hell is this? Tosses it and says, I don't want that apple. That's not the right kind. And if I've got a different type of apple in the house, offer it. It's like, well, that's what I've been waiting for the whole time. Yeah, Max actually loves it out here. He gets to sit. It's a nice, safe little area. He's familiar with it. He's right outside his window, so it's the same view he can see from his cage. And he gets to supervise the cars, the pedestrians, the motorcycles. And it is quite nice and green out here. And, you know, we've got some flowers out here as well. So, sort of on the quick scan across. Yeah, Max. Yeah, the reason I've got 2 coffee cups out, one of them was holding the cone and some other treats for Max. Just gave him an opportunity, you know, so I don't have to put it down flat on the table. And I'm trying something a little bit different on this live stream. I'm using my older phone for it because I've had some issues with my new phone really heating up during the live streams, and it seems to like to sit in the shade a little bit more for shorter periods. So I thought I'd check out the old phone. It hooks into Wi-Fi anyhow. See how that works, and see about doing a bit of a live stream. So Ellen asks, is this the backyard area? Well, actually, this is my front yard. It's right on the main stretch, and as you can see, I've got a nice little divider here. The way that the yard, we live in a townhouse. Yes, with Max, I live in a townhouse with a shared wall. The way that these units work is, the side I'm on, we've got small patios out front. They've got a little bit of a fence, which is quite nice, and there's I'm on an end unit, so I actually think I'm quite lucky. I've got some greenery in front of the fence as well as behind the fence, so I've kind of got a little bit of the best of all worlds here. We've got the fence, we've got the first sidewalk, then you see another big brick fence, and just beyond that brick fence there's another sidewalk, and then the road. That secondary sidewalk there is a regional pathway, the one right up, and we get to see all sorts of people go past. Bicyclists and people on skateboards, people out for a walk, people out for a run. Max loves seeing the activity. It's been pretty quiet this morning. He usually gets quite excited, quite chatty when he sees people. But it's really nicely set back. Although it's quite accessible to the street, having the secondary fence and the private walkway in here, dividing things off, really gives it a feeling of privacy. Not huge, but it's really what we need. We actually get a lot more use out of it, don't we, Max, than when we had a house with a full-blown yard. You know, I don't have, since it's townhouse, I don't have to worry about the outside. You know, I plant my own flowers on the patio, but I don't have to cut lawn. I don't have to shovel snow. It's nice and low maintenance, which means more time for you, right, Max? Now, Max looks like he's ready to do a little bit of napping. So we'll say maybe another 5 minutes before we cut out for the day, but I'm super glad everybody's joining us. Thanks, Greenbird. Greenbird says nice flowers. Really appreciate it. These guys just bloom all year, and Max seems to like them. Well, all year, all summer, I should say. So that's great. Hey, Gonzo the Budgie. So glad that you're joining us today. Thanks, Alan. Says Max is adorable, and Gonzo thinks you're pretty handsome too, Max. Don't let it go to your head. Ellen, we are in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Max is a rescue. He's 25 years young. Actually, I don't even know when his hatchiversary is. And it dawns on me that I've not increased his age yet. So I usually try and do so sort of in the middle of the year. So I'm actually going to call it today, and I'm going to say Max is officially 26 years young. Yeah. So, yeah, we just pick a day at random. So happy hatchiversary, Max. You're 26 today. All right. Yeah, actually mid-year, beginning of August is usually a good time to increase that, because that's about when Tico the Grey was born. So if every birdie increases their age around the same time and only increments it once a year, it's great. Max is a rescue. Story of his rescue is available on YouTube, so there's a full video on that. It is a little bit long, but it talks about his early experiences, how he was living in a basement, what he was like when we first met him. I mean, Max was the Amityville Horror with wings. Tico just looked at me with this look of horror as if to say, what did you do? And now you see Max is super, super friendly, super, super cuddly. You know, he's living his best life. Thanks, Rhonda. And Cheryl says she's had to do the same thing with her birds. They're all from Greyhaven. Greyhaven is a fantastic rescue, Cheryl. Now, Max, I'm going to invite you to step up. Come on up. Well, how about I stand? Come on up. There you go. Yeah, let's walk over here. Let's change the view a little bit. Can you bark for me? Can you bark? All right, can you give one more bark for all of our flockers? Bark, 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 bark. All right, that was great, Max. Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. I'm going to toss up some more content a little bit later on InstaFlock, Twitter, Facebeak, maybe even YouTube. Got a couple of videos to post, but camera's beginning to overheat outside, so I think it's going to be time to call a day. Thanks, Cheryl. Thanks, Greenbird. Thanks, Gonzo. Really glad that everybody's joined us today. I really appreciate that you're all following me. If you get a chance and you like some of our content, make sure you hit the share button, comment, help us get the word out about responsible pet ownership. And Max definitely, he just wants to show off for the flock, so loves doing that. So I'll save this one off. I'll post it up publicly so it's available if you missed the beginning. But thank you everybody for joining us. All right, Max, you gonna stay back? Have a great Sunday.